Hello, gorgeous people, and welcome to another TV Central one-on-one podcast. I'm Aaron Ryan. This is episode 39, 2023, and the third of the LEGO Masters Grandmasters episodes. Today, I'm chatting to Joss and Henry. They are LEGO Masters champions already, having won season 4, but will they be LEGO Masters Grandmasters champions? Well, after a massive week winning the gold brick with some massive designs, the boys are not only through to just finals week, but last night were announced as moving to the grand finale. Joss and Henry, thank you for joining me at TV Central.
Thanks so much, Aaron.
Thanks for having us on.
All right, let's start with last night in the semi-final, if you like. You had me worried. 1 hour in, and you had nothing, not even an idea. You thought of everything from a Harley, a frog, a spaceship, a rooster. What was going on? Was it nerves or just creative block? What happened?
So we actually came up with the seahorse idea almost immediately when we came in. And we pitched the idea to Brickman and he didn't like it. He said he was dubious about it. He was like, I don't know if that's the right play here. I think you should think of something else. So obviously Brickman's the judge, so you've got to do what he, because he's going to be the one who has the final say in the end. So we spent an hour trying to figure out something else to do that would, sort of be a little bit more interesting. And we just couldn't land on anything. So we thought, an hour in, we've already wasted enough time. Let's just do the seahorse. So that was sort of what happened there.
So that must have been some extra nerves with that then, because Brickman didn't like the idea. Was it just you just couldn't come up with anything else? That's just it. Just go with it.
Yeah, pretty much. It just figured at that point, it'd be better to have a build than not, And we sort of had faith in the idea. We thought that we could pull it off to a good extent, and hopefully win Brickman over. Again, we only needed to be better than one person in the room, so we thought, let's go for it.
Well, with Brickman, you're lucky that he got you to test it out, because it did have a flaw in it, right? Didn't it?
Yeah, it did. That was interesting. It's always no, it's fine. I'm honestly glad that it happened. Like I said, it made the cut as well. I'm glad it happened then and not on the carousel. I forgot to anchor down the base of the tail. Like the rest of the tail was sturdy as, but then just the actual base of it was not attached to the Technic bricks at the bottom. So
the angles and the sharpness that Brickman alluded to a few times as a weakness was interesting. Do you fully get what he meant by that? Because I didn't. It just seemed to equal that sharpness doesn't equal sort of softness. I didn't quite get that, because it looked okay.
Well, thank you. Firstly, thank you for that. But I think what he meant was, because it was sort of in segments, like a seahorse, he thought maybe that might have been a bit aggressive or something. But I think what we were trying to do was more like get the texture of a seahorse rather than just the general stereotypical shape. So we were trying to sell it in a very different way, maybe, than what Brickman had in mind. Same with the positioning. But I felt like we were pretty confident that we knew what the seahorse looked like. So we just thought, yep, we're going to stick with that.
Yeah, I mean, Brickman says like that. Angles don't occur very much in nature, but if you look at seahorses, they really are quite sharp and like jagged, and they've got that sort of segmented thing, which is why we thought it was such a good fit for this technique.
It could be just the way that the edit is, but this is just my interpretation. But is Joss, are you more the panicker? Because I noticed that when you're getting feedback, you're soaking in every word and super nervous to hear what's happening. When it's told it's great, Henry's like, high five, that's cool. But Joss, you got like that face like, oh, thank God that's over. Oh, we got through. So is that right? Like, what are your personalities different like that?
Yeah, I think nerves definitely get to me, especially in finals week, because you've gotten that far, you want to get the rest of the way, and there's so much uncertainty with, like whether things are going to pay off. Like, they're very careful with what they tell you and what they don't tell you. So, the parts that they don't tell you, you kind of left hanging on what they told you last until there's that sigh of relief. It's like, okay, you're fine, So, and Brickman's an absolute wild card, so you never know which way things are going to go. If they really wanted to, they could like pick apart that build to the tiniest little thing and find reasons to send us home. So really, it's like it's anyone's game.
Hey, everyone's been amazing this season, no doubt. But in terms of challenge wins, you guys and Scott and Owen seem to be the teams to beat. Do you see Scott and Owen as your main rivals, or are you just like keeping in your own lane?
Yeah, I think Scott and Owen are definitely, up there. Like the absolute speed at which they build is off the charts, and of course they're fantastic technical builders as well. So it's very hard to sort of stay on their level. I think their biggest advantage is just how much energy they have. It's insane to witness, you see what they do on set, but the terrifying thing is that, oftentimes when people are that energetic on set, they need to have downtime when they're not, but they don't. They're just on all the time. Yeah. Like in the green room, like at the hotel, like on the transit to and from, they're just always bouncing off the walls, and I don't know how they do it for 12 hours straight. It's ridiculous.
The previous Sunday night was the heist episode. You guys created that amazing jewelry store heist. It didn't start well though, because you were going with a crooked cops theme. Brickman wasn't buying that. How do you process whether, because this kind of happened with the seahorse thing too. How do you process whether to change your idea and follow Brickman's advice, or just stick with your gut and let Brickman see that finished creation, so then to fully understand what you were doing? Because in the heist case, you did actually change your mind.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that if he tells you to change your idea, it's probably worth it 80% of the time. And then the other 20% of the time is like if you just can't think of anything else, or if you have a trick up your sleeve, then I think it's worth staying with your idea. And with the seahorse, like we didn't spend an hour thinking of an idea just for the hell of it. It was like, if there's a better idea, we need to do it, because Brickman doesn't really like the seahorse thing. So let's put time into thinking, and we couldn't think of anything better. So we just thought, all right, well, we'll just do what we had.
Yeah.
That the heist one, that was an amazing build, and you were in the top two, but Scott and Owen snuck over the line with the train station build. When builds are as amazing as they are, I have no idea how Brickman can make a final decision. I guess knowing how good everyone is, what do you try to do to make a build like that little bit extra special, just so you can get over the line?
Yeah, I think you've got to have a hook. You've got to have something that's sort of like, it's a point of difference. Like, for example, with Scott and Owen, they built off stud, which was like a huge thing, a huge reason why they won. And they also built in a time period, which we did as well. And those are, two things that sort of show a lot of not just like technical prowess, but also just sort of a confidence in, I guess, being really intentional in what you build, because if you're building in a specific time period, then there can't really be any accidents. You've like every little aesthetic choice has to be made, with that in mind, so I don't know. I think that's something that's really impressive and sort of shows what you're doing. So I think, yeah, little things like that.
I wanted to ask about the previous Monday's challenge, because that's one of my favorites with you guys. Because you were given the coffee machine, and on face value, that would seem like the least favorite to get. But you guys just managed to do something absolutely amazing. What did you What were your first thoughts when you got the coffee machine? Was it as horrible as I thought it might have been for a choice?
Yeah. But it really felt like they were, because it was Scott and Owen picking all the things, and it really felt like they kind of went like, oh yeah, give it to those guys, and
That's a compliment.
make them suffer. But yeah, I guess so. But Joss really saved us on that one, because I was thinking more in the traditional way of a cut in half build, where it's like you leave the one half and then you build something coming out of it, and that's just it. But Joss thought, what if we just build around it, so it's sort of inside the build? And it was just a crazy idea. And Joss's engineering as well to get the legs going made it work.
Yeah,
did you think? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, so I was just gonna say I'm really, really proud of that build, and I think, you know, I think definitely like once per season, you get a really good idea, you know. Like I think a lot of them are just sort of, you know, like ideas where it's just like, okay, you know, this is a good fit for this challenge. But every now and then you get one that's like, yeah, that's something unique. No, I was really, really happy with that.
So you had a win there, and the gold brick. The gold brick must feel extra special when you draw to the end of the series. A bit of relief, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
Like, what a time to you know, win the brick and come out with a good build, because we were struggling for a little while up until that point. Like, it just felt like we were getting so close but just missing the mark. And, you know, it felt like everyone else was getting so much better, you know, that we probably weren't going to win another challenge until like, yeah. So yeah, that was really, really good. I'm super happy because it meant that we didn't have to stress as much in the cliffhanger challenge, which is a ridiculous,
that would have been a really rough one.
Yeah.
Well, when you went into that cliffhanger episode, I mean, knowing that you had the gold brick, you did change strategy. I believe that you mentioned on the show you wouldn't have gone in the direction you did without the gold brick. How does having the gold brick change your strategy?
Well, it wasn't just a confidence thing. I think it was more like not wanting to send someone else home, sort of thing. Like in the way that we sort of shot ourselves in the foot on purpose, I think, in a funny way, where it was like, if we build straight out from the wall and go as far as we want, we might get the bonus point, and then someone else suffers and then we feel guilty. So it was like, although building downwards wasn't how we really knew that they wanted us to build, it was kind of like, we don't get anything if we win this build, and we can't really lose on it. So let's just do exactly what we would like to do with what we've been given.
Pretty much, yeah. It was like, because it's funny, we were in the exact same position last year as well. Like for this challenge going into the semi-final, we also had protection. And, you know, in that challenge, you're literally just building for momentum, you know, because you can't win. There's no winners, and you can't lose. So you're just there. So we're just like, what do we still want to build on Lego Masters? You know, what's something that we could really enjoy? And so, you know, we saw the wizard. We were like, oh, let's do some fantasy stuff. You know,
Majesto.
Yeah,
that was an awesome build.
Oh, thanks.
I started the podcast talking about whether you stay in your own lane or whether you look over your shoulder at others, with Scott and Owen's ice cliffhanger said to be the best build ever from Brickman. Do you look at least look for inspiration from others' work, or do you just trust your own skills and abilities, and then, I don't know, perhaps do the opposite to what other people do? What goes through your mind when you're looking at other people's builds?
I think a lot of the time, when the challenge first starts, like I'll ask around the room and see what everyone else is doing to make sure that there's nothing that's too similar to what we're doing, or else, you know, you get like double ups and like sort of ideas or themes. Sort of, it cheapens both builds, I think. So you don't want to be in that position. But then beyond that, I think we just sort of keep our head down and, you know, stay focused on what you're doing, and then at the end look up and see what everyone else has done.
Which is hard with Scott and Owen, because
Yeah.
they're very loud. So it's sort of like everyone knows what they're building, whether you want to know or not.
You're in the obviously the grand finale. Is there anything you can tease us about the episode? Like, what can we expect?
Well, we get to build. Well, everyone sort of knows that the rules for the last build are there are no rules. So we get to build whatever we want, and Joss and I really
Took that to heart,
took
I
that.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, we just said, you know what, like if we had 28 hours and it was any idea we wanted, what would we do? And we did it. So,
which is it's a tricky thing to do twice, I think, especially in
Yeah.
such a short time frame.
Because yeah, it's like if you had 28 hours, only once in a lifetime, what would you build? A giant crab robot versus a giant kaiju is what we would build. It's like, okay, do it again. What's the second idea?
Yeah, it's tough because like you know, like I feel like we really landed on the best idea possible for our season, you know. So any ideas beyond that, it feels like they're sort of the second idea, like the draft that didn't quite make it. But no, I really like what we build in tonight's episode. I'm sorry, dating the podcast a bit, but
in the finale.
In the finale, yeah. I really love our finale build. I think it's very special to me.
Absolutely. All right. I do just want to quickly mention the look transformation. Not just Henry, but Joss. Both of you look quite different, considering it's not been a massive amount of time between seasons. Have you always changed up your looks, or did you just want to look fresh for Grandmasters?
I can't speak for Henry, but my hairstyle on this season is what my hairstyle normally is. I had grown my hair out quite a bit, and I was getting it cut specifically for Lego Masters, and they botched it real bad. So I had to get it cut short to like overcorrect. So it wasn't by choice that I went in with short hair in season 4.
Yeah, I've perhaps been a bit notorious for changing hairstyles. I mean, after the first season, I shaved my head, and then over the course of that year, it was shaved, then it grew back out, and then it was bleached, obviously. And as soon as I got home, I shaved it again, and here we are.
All right. In one of your bios, it mentions about Lego being something that has nurtured your relationship as brothers, where you're able to talk, break down walls, and create a strong bond. I never really thought that could be a byproduct of building Lego. Now I'm imagining all of these brothers and sisters, friends, dads and sons, dads and daughters spending hours and hours building Lego and really drawing their connection closer. Does that still apply when you guys are older? Do you still talk about anything and everything?
Yeah, I definitely. And I think in any sort of relationship, whether it's, you know, like family, friends, anything, like having a buffer of any kind of sort really makes it easier to sort of have conversation flow naturally, you know, whether it's like playing games or doing sports, or in our case, you know, building Lego. It's something that you can connect with. And yeah, I definitely feel like it's, you know, brought us closer in our adult lives, especially like being on the show, you know, having to spend that much time with each other, you know, like it's good.
Yeah, it just really seemed to be a beautiful thing that I never thought of, because I mean, a lot of young people are playing video games. I mean, there is some communication, but nothing close. I never thought about it, but it's quite obvious if you're spending hours together building stuff in Legos that that's a lot of young people like drawing closer together and talking. So that's a really beautiful. Have you dealt with, I mean, how have you dealt with the frustrating moments, like when you feel like the other is not sticking with a plan or spending too much time on one thing and not working on something else? Do things get heated sometimes, or have you found a way to keep each other on track without sort of infighting?
I think Joss and I have had a lifetime of being around each other, so we don't really bicker at all, really. Even if it's like a build where one person's struggling, it's not a matter of like, oh, how annoying. It's more like, let's help each other and get it back on track so we can do a good job.
I think the most we ever fought on Lego Masters was I'm so sad it didn't make the cut, actually.
Yeah. Now that you say that, it's death.
It was in the Mr. Coffee build. So you'll notice that on Mr. Coffee there's a small milk carton next to the sugar, and it has a blue band around it because that's the so
there's a shot of how it was before.
There was, yeah. So yeah. I initially made that milk carton with blue stripes going around it because in my head that's what the like stereotypical iconic milk carton looks like. You know, if you're thinking like a cartoon, it's a white milk carton with blue bands going around it. And Henry said, no, it's just a single thick blue band for like the label. That's what the stereotypical milk carton looks like. And I was like, no, you're wrong. It's the stripes. That's the whole thing. And that went back and forth quite a while. And it got really heated. Like neither of us wanted to concede on what we thought the correct one was. The event was colloquially known as Milkgate.
And it was definitely the biggest argument we've had in years, I think.
Did you end up looking it up? Because coming to my mind, I would have thought it was the two stripes if I'm thinking of those cartoon shows.
Yeah, see, it's and I asked so many people afterwards, and it was like a 50-50 split of like people who thought it was stripes and people who thought it was a band. And
if you Google it, it's like depending on which keywords you use, you can find both. So it's kind of like here or there.
So if you type in one band milk carton, it just comes.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming majority of results is with just a band. So I think we went with the right choice to follow Henry's decision.
All right, finally, Joss and Henry, already champions. What does winning Grandmasters mean for you, apart from obviously the money? Is it back-to-back or just solidifying basically a childhood of Lego and then becoming a Grandmaster? What is it?
I think it would just be cool to be, to have the title of Grandmasters, just to be known as the first ever Lego Grandmasters. That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess also winning back-to-back would be insane. But
pretty mental bragging rights, I think, above all else. But at the same time, like both the teams that we're in the finale with came second in their seasons. So like as much as we would love the win, we definitely feel like it would be more than welcome if it was one of the other teams.
Yeah,
we're not gunning for it with everything we've got in that sense.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think we really have anything more to prove. We won our season. We made it all the way to the end. We built something that we like and that means a lot to us. And if the other teams want it more and they end up taking out the win, that's fine by me.
All right, Joss and Henry, you are into the grand finale, though. Well done. Obviously, massive competition tonight. It will be huge. Good luck, and thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Joss and Henry there from Lego Masters Grandmasters. You can catch the grand finale of Lego Masters tonight, Monday, the 8th of May at 7:30 p.m. on 9 and 9 Now. That's it for this podcast. For all the latest news, streaming reports, ratings, TV guides, and podcasts, head to tvcentral.com.au. Until next time, I'm Aaron Ryan. Thanks to Joss and Henry. Bye for now.